It's June 18th, 2020. This is Roqe. When we talk about storytelling by Iranians that resonates in the diaspora, we're often referring to the familiar phrases of classic poets, or the trademark dark neo-realist cinema, or funny fare from contemporary LA-based comedians. So it's notable when a new TV series gets made in Iran that is an epic love story, rich in symbolism, commentary, modern vibrance, and the series becomes a massive hit not only inside Iran, but around the world, dubbed into different languages. Our guest today is the co-writer of Shahrzad. She's also an award-winning playwright, filmmaker, author, and commentator. This is Conversations from, to, and about the Iranian diaspora. This is Roqe. Right. Welcome to episode number 19 of Roqe. Almost 20 episodes. This is our big Thursday show. So the Roqe Posse is here with me. What's the Farsi word for posse? For gang?
Rofaqa.
Rofaqa?
Rafiqan.
Well, that's friends, right?
Ekip.
Ekip. Yeah.
No, that's not Persian.
That's French. Team.
Yeah.
That's like a team. So basically, we don't have a word for a posse. There must be a word for gang.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. I have no idea.
All right. We're off to a great start. Episode 19.
Let's wrap up right now.
That's okay. Yeah. This is so far 1 minute of not knowing what something is. And,
oh boy.
Captain Reza, nice to see you. How are you?
I'm great, Mr. Jian.
Thank you. Groovy Shaya?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you.
By the way, Groovy Shaya, I know you are aware of our guests today. Naghmeh Samini is coming on today. Incredible playwright, author, and the co-writer, as I was saying in the intro there, of that series, Shahzad, which is, I think it's my mom's favorite Persian series ever. And then, and it's not just my mom and her generation. There's many people who around the world who just love this series, myself as well. But you know what she told me this morning, my mom? Because I told her that...
I'm really curious to hear that.
She said that Shahrzad, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but she said it was the first Persian series she's watched, like a TV series out of Iran, for decades.
Wow.
You know, I mean, my parents left.
Actually, that's true, because I've heard that comment about Shahrzad from many different persons from many different ages and different cultures, that they say that Shahrzad, they watch Shahrzad. It's the only Persian TV series.
She loved it. It was 3 seasons from 2016, I think it started, to 2018, and it was just 59 episodes, and my mom devoured it, because you can watch it on YouTube in the diaspora, and it's been dubbed into all kinds of languages too. We'll get to this with Naghmeh Samini, but are you a fan, Reza, of Shahzad?
I've heard of it. I know of it. What I'm most I haven't seen it.
You're supposed to be the film guy, the actor,
I know the guru, the film guru, and I know of it. I know of it. My family is a huge fan. But you know what's interesting to me about Shahrzad? I think is one of the few Iranian series, TV shows, that has gone past 1 season, because like they don't do seasonal shows like serialized shows in Iran. They do like several episodes of a show, and that's it. That's the end of that. But this has like three seasons, right? 3 years in a row.
What you're saying is very interesting, but I don't know if I can trust you, because you haven't even watched Shahrzad.
You should. You and everybody who's listening.
You are Captain Reza, so that's authority. I would think I can trust you. And Kyan, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
How has your week been?
It's been good. I'm just trying to get back into shape. That's my
That's
my
your goal?
Goal for the next few weeks.
You seem like you're in shape. Did you fall out of shape?
Well, the quarantine 15 has hit me pretty hard. I think for the first month and a half, I was just cooking like a mad woman. That's all I knew to do. And then I just regretted it immediately. I was doing a lot of French cooking, and the main ingredient in French cooking is butter. So
the quarantine 15?
Yes, that's what I call it.
Oh, is that,
like
did
the
you coin that?
15,
I love it. So what does that
15.
mean, 15 pounds?
Yeah,
The
give or take. No, let's say 10.
All right. Listen, on the Monday episode of Roqe coming up, I want to announce the next episode. I'm going to be joined by a legend of sport in the Iranian diaspora. I know Shaya and Sarah know who we've booked, but I want to see if you guys, Kyan, if I say Mansour Bahrami.
I've seen his videos.
Oh, you do
He's
know? Okay, I was thinking you're not going to know.
I
who he
played
is.
tennis growing up, so I knew of him. Yeah, and he's
so what do you know about Mansour Bahrami?
He's a showmanship. He has great showmanship. He's as soon as he hits the court, you know you're going to expect to laugh.
That's right. The tennis legend Mansour Bahrami, who's also the great entertainer. He's called Captain Reza. You probably know who he is, right?
Huge fan of his.
You're a huge fan.
Oh, I've been following his. I've been watching his videos for ages now, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of his. I can be in the saddest, most grumpiest mood ever. Watch one of his videos and I crack a smile. I start laughing. He's amazing, and he's a tennis player, he's an athlete.
He's an incredible tennis player.
Incredible.
He is in his 60s now and still, plays the doubles. I mean, on the senior circuit at Wimbledon, etc. I'm thrilled about this. We're going to have a feature interview with Mansour Bahrami coming up on Monday. You know, the story is a tragic one. I mean, he is so ebullient and fun to watch and everything that you forget that this guy was. Basically, he was the number one tennis player in Iran, and the revolution hits in 1979, and the edict comes out that tennis is a Western capitalist sport, and no one's allowed to play it anymore. And he basically spends the next 10 years, he goes to France and tries to play there, can't get French nationality, basically plays the next 10 years, doesn't play tennis, can't get on the court in any sort of professional way. His prime. His from when he's, I think, 23 to 33 years old. Wow. So when I think it was 1989, when he gets back on the circuit and goes to the finals of the French Open in doubles, he's already kind of past his prime, So, I mean, we talk a lot in cultural terms about musicians or artists or poets or whatever, people who, or all kinds of people who had their careers kind of halted and the story halted when the revolution hits. This is a different version of that, another side of that as well, where in sport, where this guy, we'll never know if he had those 10 years, whether he could have been a McEnroe, O'Connors, a Sampras himself. I mean, he's still great, and he's still so entertaining, and he's got this incredible story to tell, and I hope he will tell it with us on Monday. But it's a as with so many in the Iranian diaspora, there's this undertone of such complexity about where he's ended up. Shaya, I know he's coming on, and you're a fan as well. Yes. All right. So that's on our next episode of Roqe, Mansour Bahrami. So, Kyan, you're going to be back in a little while with the letters of the week.
For sure.
Captain Reza, Shaya, you're sticking around to as we let me do
us.
To what?
To tease us.
To tease us, yes. Let's get to the introduction of our special guest today. According to the fabled tale of the 1001 Nights, many years ago an Arab monarch learned of his wife's infidelity, and in a psychotic act of vengeance he resolved to marry a new virgin each day and have his bride executed the next dawn. The murderous pattern continues until he marries the daughter of his Persian minister. Her name is Shahrzad. Shahrzad captivates her genocidal husband with a story that she tells that goes on for 1001 nights, causing the king to allow her a stay of execution in order to finish her story. And her powerful storytelling continues until the king eventually falls in love with her. Well, my guest today is perhaps the closest we get to a modern-day Shahrzad as a master storyteller. Naghmeh Samini earned her PhD in theater and mythology in Iran and taught drama history and playwriting at the University of Tehran for 12 years. More than 20 of her plays have been staged in Iran, France, India, Canada, and the United States and other countries. Her screenplays include Sweet Taste of Imagination, Blood Game, and Three Women. Some of her awards and achievements include Best Iranian Playwright in 2014, Book of the Year in Iran for Myths, Theater, and Archetypal Approach to Iranian Dramatic Literature, that was in 2009, Best Screenwriter at the International Fajr Film Festival in 2007, Best Playwright in the City of Tehran in 2005, Best Playwright at the International Fajr Theater Festival from the years 2001 to 2004, and her play The Legend of the King and Mathematician was selected by UNESCO to be one of its yearly books in 2012. And besides all of this, of course, as if that wasn't enough, she was also the co-writer of the exceptionally popular and riveting Iranian TV series Shahrzad that ran for 3 seasons from 2015 to 2018. Dr. Samini is currently a visiting scholar at the University of Washington School of Persian Studies, and Naghmeh Samini joins me from Seattle, Washington right now. Hello.
Hello. So nice to talk to you.
What a pleasure it is to have you on the program and to read all of your awards, which takes quite a while. Thank you for doing this. First of all, how is it going over there in Seattle? These are strange days between pandemic and protest. Are you currently in the autonomous zone?
No, actually, I'm not in autonomous zone. It's part of the downtown of Seattle. And I think what you can find in the news is very different from what really happened in the city. So, yeah, everything is fine and people are so calm and just try to make governors listen to their protests, which I think is very, very right.
Yes. You have a thriving career, as I've just outlined in the introduction, as a playwright, a screenwriter, and a professor in Iran, in Tehran. So on the heels of that massive success of Shahrzad, why would you choose to come to the United States?
That's a very good question, but the answer is very, very complicated. Actually, it's just 11 months I left country and I came to United States. But about 1 year ago, I really felt that I need to be in a new air and to have something very different in my life. So, when you achieve a success like what we achieved in Shahrzad, afterward working is much more difficult than before because the expectations of you is much more than before. So I really, really felt that I need to live in different era, different atmosphere, and gain more and start something very new, which you may have heard about the company I founded here called Seda, which is a theater company. I think that was the main and the most important reason that I left the country and I decided to stay here in the United States.
That's counterintuitive. The idea that you have this hit show and it makes it more difficult for you to work. You would think that this is what you've always been waiting for. It's going to open all the doors. You get to do whatever you want. You'll get financing for whatever you want. Would that not be the case?
No, not at all. No, not at all. This is just a dream, but that's not true. After Shahrzad, I received so many offers for writing series, but none of them could really satisfy me to start a new project. So many of those offers just asked me to copy Shahrzad again, which I really didn't want to do. I needed something new. I wanted to do something very new, not exactly a copy of Shahrzad. And for some reasons, some scripts that in normal time could be offered to me. The directors and the investors, producers, they didn't offer me those kinds of scripts because they thought that I am a person, I am a writer who can fit in historical dramas and not, for example, realistic ones.
Right.
So I think I can say that after Shahzad, the situation for me as a script writer became more difficult than before.
Let me come back to that. I'm going to come back to Shahrzad and the content of your creativity. But let me ask you a few more questions about the experience of coming here, here being the West, into the diaspora after having this prolific and popular career in Iran. You are, Naghmeh, you're one of the very few, I would imagine, who have experienced working professionally in dramatic arts at such a high level, both in Iran and the United States now, in a contemporary sense. First of all, how would you compare the two experiences?
Completely different. In Iran, we have lots of young people. So when you create something, you know that you will have a huge audience among young people. And here, it's very difficult finding young audience for theater, for performance shows. And the other difference refers to censorship, I think. As you all know that in Iran, you always need to be careful about what you say and just be very, very careful about the red lines. But here, of course, you don't need to think about those kinds of things. I think in Iran, the most important problem refers to red lines, and here refers to audience and investment. So I think these are the main differences.
It's so interesting. I've heard this now a couple of times, and we have we're going to bring on some theater people in the coming weeks on Roqe, who are actually working in Iran too. But this idea that of all the sort of strands of culture of the creative class, that theater is actually really big in Iran right now, and theater festivals and theater production companies, etc., in the West would dream of having young audiences, right? I mean, that is the perennial problem, that it's sort of, they call it the gray hairs who are the subscribers or the people who go to the festivals, or you have to do these really populist musicals, The Lion King or something, to attract a young audience. Tell me about that interesting moment in Iran right now where theater, profound, deep theater is respected or is of interest to young people.
Yeah, actually, first of all, I would like to turn your attention to this very important point that in Tehran, every night, more than 100 shows are on the stage. I mean, I'm speaking, of course, about the time before COVID-19, and now everything is changed. Right. But can you believe it? 100 plays every night on a stage in a city like Tehran. So it shows us that how massive audience are interested in theater performance in Tehran. And I think maybe one of the reasons is that Iranian youngsters really have very limited entertainments. They need to choose in between very few way of entertainment, and theater is one of them. And the other reason is that, in my opinion, theater in Iran is less censored in compare with other dramatic performances, like cinema or even maybe concerts or other way of entertainment.
Why is it less censored?
I think maybe because the censors think that theater has very limited audience. Maybe this is it. And the way, because you can send censor to every night to a show to see what happened. So it's not easy to censor theater. It's not. I mean, let's say it's not as easy as cinema.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating how a creative form can emerge and reach people because of it's a paradox, right? Because of a repressive policy around censorship, that this one or one of the art forms can emerge the way theater has in Tehran and in Iran. That's a very interesting story. Let me turn it around and ask you about your experience here as an Iranian scriptwriter. Have you felt any sort of dismissiveness or disregard of your work because of your ethnicity or because of your background in an industry, let's face it, which remains quite white-dominated in the West?
Let's say yes. I think it seems that the United States is a very free country, and it's, American dream, as you have heard. But this is not true. I mean, for a writer who came from Iran and whose language is not as good as native writers, I encountered lots of problems, and I will encounter more problem, I know. So if you want to be part of mainstream in film, script writers, it would be very, very difficult for you to find a way to show your work, your ability. So it's nearly impossible, or it's better to say that you need to effort much more than a native white writer. So this is the first thing. And the other thing is that even among Iranians who live here, it's very, very difficult to gain their trust. Most of them feel that you are not as trustworthy as a white writer.
Wow.
Because you are always in between two worlds. And sometimes people feel that, okay, where do you live? Are you living in Iran, or are you living in here? And if you live here, why don't you cut all your relations with Iran? And if you live in Iran, why do you want us to hear your voice? So I think it's very, very complicated. It's very difficult to gain trust from Iranians and to prove yourself to white dominant community.
Let me take those one at a time. Let me get to the Iranian diaspora, the Iranians. But first, when you talk about the problems you have, I don't know if you know who Hamid Rahmanian is. He was on the show last week, and we spoke about how he talked about how he's a fantastic artist. He's a designer, a writer, and a visual artist who's won all kinds of awards. He's a Guggenheim Fellow, etc. He's in Brooklyn. But he talked about how the Western creative class seems to be interested in working with people of, say, Iranian descent, as long as we are fulfilling a narrative that they're interested in. In other words, to be critical of the regime or have a particular political stance or be doing material that has to do with what's happening on the ground in a contemporary sense in Iran or something. Otherwise, he said they just kind of don't care. So with his, Shahnameh project, they were kind of like, okay, they pat him on the head, thanks very much, but we're not interested. Does that resonate for you, something like that?
Oh, I 100% agree with this idea. Let's share a metaphor that I used to use about myself, which was here. Sometimes I feel like a lion in a circus. They all wants me to see something strange, to hear something strange from me, something more exotic, something about how Iran is a difficult country to live, or how censorship just bother us, or talking about something unusual about our culture. So I think it's very true. So as long as I want to talk about the political problems in Iran, and at the same time, something very exotic about our history or about our literature, there are many, many ears to listen to me. But whenever I want just to talk about very regular problems of human beings, people prefer to listen to white writer much more than me. I think I agree this 100%.
It's a form of exoticization, I think. It's we'll like you, just be exotic, just do your little dance for us.
Exactly. It's why that I feel that I'm in a circus. As long as I do something strange, there are many people who really want to look at me. But if I just try to be normal, nobody wants me.
Then, of course, the flip side is, and not to sort of let the Iranian community off the hook, because what you just talked about is it's devastating to hear that an Iranian in the diaspora who one presumes should be proud of you or want to support you, or et cetera, would consider you not as trustworthy. I know that in the relatively short time that you've been based in the U.S., you've had some interaction with Iranian American cultural organizations, the Fat Hang Foundation. You were on the panel for their 2019 film festival. Not just to talk about the Fat Hang Foundation, but what is your take on the Iranian American community? And you seem to be talking as if it's something of a minefield.
First of all, let me say that I really don't want to generalize what I'm going to talk about.
Sure.
Of course, there were many supportive people from Iranian community who really support us and really stand behind me to push me to do whatever I wanted to do. For example, here in the University of Washington, there is I'm not sure, have you ever heard about NELC, which is Near Eastern Language School, I think, something like that. And people from there, they're really supportive to help me found the theater company. But I have heard and I have faced with many obstacles formed from Iranians in front of me. So that's true. I mean, you know that we have very, how can I say, very okay, I say Farsi and you help me to translate in English. We have very tekkepare culture. How do you translate it?
Well, I mean, we like to take each other apart. We'd like to sort of
yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't find any translation for tekkepare.
You know what they call in English, actually, there's a saying called tall poppy syndrome, which is that anyone who, if the poppy gets too tall, they feel like they have to knock it down. It's
exactly. Exactly. That's a syndrome. And there is a philosopher, he passed away years ago, called Dariush Shaigan, and he called this culture as فرهنگ چهل تکه. And I want to refer him when I am going to speak about this syndrome, what you rightly explained. And the problem is that we really lost trust together through this 40 years history of the revolution.
Yes.
People who live in Iran, they really don't have a real expectations and real picture of Iranian who live here, and Iranians who live here, especially who left Iran years ago, like right after revolution. I can say that they really don't know what happened in Iran. So for them, a writer who left Iran like year ago, and as you said, who was successful in Iran, and now she is here, I'm speaking about myself, and she tries to do something here, is very suspicious figure. So I really feel this in their eyes when they look at me, that I am a suspicious figure who lives in between two worlds. But that's not true. I mean, when I was in Iran, I had lots of problems with censorship, with government, and so on and so forth. And when I'm here, I have lots of problems with Iranians who left that government just because they wanted to live in a free country or free atmosphere. As you mentioned, this is very devastating, very much.
There's some conversations that we're having on this program that seem like we have the conversations we have to just keep continuing about issues within the diaspora, that it's almost like we have to talk about our own house, how we figure out our own house. And And one of them is this paradox that keeps emerging between what I would call the Iranian superiority complex. Mohammed, she said, we invented everything. First of all, we're the best at everything. You point to an object and they'll be like, yes, well, this was, first this was Iranian, and we're the best. But of course, the flip side of that is an inferiority complex. Anyone who has the tarif of themselves over and over again, what does that really mean? And there's this weird kind of in between the excitement or celebration of other Iranians, there's this feeling sometimes that anything non-Iranian is better, anything American or Western. And I mean, Hamid Rahmanian, again, talked about this last week, that he needed, when Francis Ford Coppola did the introduction to his book, suddenly this was validation because somebody from the non-Iranian community thought it was good and a white person was saying, way to go. And this paradox is quite sad, but to me, it's quite a reality. Do you feel that?
Yeah, exactly. I had the same experience. I had a show, as I told you. The first performance was about 3 weeks ago, and the second one came on online stage about 2 weeks ago, as I remember it rightly. Anyway, so in the first performance, the audience were mostly from Iran. And in the second performance, we had many American audience. And when I started to gather the Americans' idea about our show, and I tried to let other people know about that, I felt that suddenly our show became trustworthy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that is very true. It's very paradox. I believe that's a paradox because from one hand, we feel that we are superior to innovating everything in the world. Like we are the first people who innovated wheel and literature and everything. Right. But at the same time, we don't believe ourselves. We need to be proved by white dominant communities. So that is very true, and that's a big problem.
Naghmeh, speaking of the Iranian community, you wear a hijab. Has the hijab led to any animosity against you in parts of the Iranian diaspora?
I think so. Actually, I just try to have hijab as much as I don't encounter any problem in my country, in Iran, because it's very important for me to have this right to come back to Iran. We are, people like me are very...
You're a public person.
Exactly, yeah. We are very being watched. So I really want to keep this right to come back into my country without any fear. But I totally can understand that this is a sign that this refer a message for audience that, okay, so she is some person from Jamhuriya Islami and she hasn't been part of us yet. But I think, I can understand them, but at the same time, it's not true, because if I was muhajjab, if I really believed in hijab, I did something else.
Does anyone say anything to you overtly?
Yes, I just have heard something that I'm not sure that how much that's true or not, but I have heard that one of the Persian schools wanted to hire me, and then once they saw a photo of me with hijab, they sent me that message that, oh, we are so sorry, we believe in your career, but at the same time, your hijab doesn't let us to accept you and to trust you as a person who left Iran. So I was so disappointed when I heard that for the first time. And then I encountered again and again with the same words. But now I really try to understand them.
Let me ask you about your creative works. I said we'll come back to your creative works, and I'm going to get to Shahzad because my mother will kill me if I don't ask you a lot of questions about Shahzad because she's such a big fan. But first of all, some of your earlier work is is really quite dark. I watched Khunbazi on the weekend, Blood Game, and it is really dark and even hard to watch at times. It's a really bleak look at society, relationships, Iran in the early 2000s. I know it was also quite taboo when it came out as a Persian film in 2006, some of the subject matter in there. But the perspective on Iranian society, I should also say, was not entirely a surprise. Even before the revolution, I know I can think of the creative class going quite dark when it comes to Iranian art, Iranian film, Iranian songs. Why do you think that is? Why do we gravitate towards the dark?
Yeah, okay. So I think this is partly because the artist feeling. We are not apart from our society. We are part of our society. And I exemplify myself as a writer who grew up through different social disasters like war, like movements, social movements. I also I was like 7 years old when Islamic Revolution happened. So I watched all those happenings, and my feeling can't be apart from them. And creativity strongly and directly comes from all the experiences that a writer or an artist try to create. So I think that this darkness you consider in Iranian theater or cinema partly comes from our real feeling about our society, which is not very shiny society.
Right.
I feel that we are so isolated. We are isolated from all over the world. The financial situation have been worse and worse through last decades. And then, so I think that, this is partly comes from that. And partly, there is a conspiracy theory, which I believe it like 30%, which is, so we as writers and artists, we try to make foreign audiences convinced to accept our creativity because it refers to one of the first questions, that we really want to satisfy them with what we create. So we want to let them be satisfied with looking at a dark society to feel how their society is comfortable for them. So I think this is not 100% true, and partly that's true. This is the only way, maybe one of the only ways that we can be heard from outside of Iran.
Well, see, that's interesting, because I was going to ask if you think on some level there's an expectation. I mean, you're also a scholar of Iranian film, so you've thought about this stuff. Would it be fair to say, for example, that much of the doom and gloom in Iran's trademark dark neo-realist cinema is in some ways dictated by what international film festivals, Cannes, Toronto, Berlin, expect and demand from Iranian directors?
If you try to sort Iranian directors or Iranian cinema, there are many different sorts that you can find out. There are some original filmmakers, and there are other filmmakers who try to copy them. So I think the original ones, who are very few, they really want to be loyal to their own creativity and their own feeling. And if they feel the society is so dark, that result in dark productions.
Right.
So I think that's true, but not 100%.
Okay, so let's get to Shahrzad. Not just to satisfy my mom, by the way. The success of this series, to me, is that you united various generations. I mean, I can think of friends of mine, there's people of all shapes and sizes and ages who are a huge fan of this series. This is the series that you were the co-writer of, that ran from 2015 to 2018, and 59 episodes, 3 seasons. Shahrzad, first of all, how did this come about?
Okay, so I think it was like, now it is like 6 years ago, I just received a call from آقای Fatih, Mr. Fatih, who is the director and co-writer of the series. And he told me that he has a kind of a script, and he asked me to read that script and let him know that do I want to be part of this project or not. And when I read that 10-15 pages script, I felt I really like it. I felt that, okay, this is something that I really want to be part of it. So I told him that, okay, I'm in. And we decided to write it together. And at that script, you could find the very main lines of the story, but of course not any details. And then slowly this story grown up in my mind, and I just tried to have some changes to make it better and make it more popular. And Mr. Fatih was, fantastic co-writer because he really let me feel free when I wanted to innovate more stories and more characters. And he was really, really great co-writer, I have to say.
I have to quote, one writer said of Shahrzad, said, "It is a veritable Iranian godfather, plus love story, plus historical docudrama, plus serious social commentary, plus constant reflection on the tragic sense of life, but contextualized in a consummately traditional Iranian sort of way, all rolled into one." That's quite an accomplishment.
And there are more and more pluses.
Did you have all of that in mind when you wrote it? Besides serving the story, did you guys know that you were working on something that would be deconstructed as having this profound an impact?
Yes and no. No, because at the beginning, I think we both really didn't expect this kinds of popular reception for this series, and we didn't have this idea that there would be many things in this series that we are going to talk about. But at the same time, I think we were, let's say I was full of ideas and full of things that I wanted to talk about. So let's say that these all pluses that you were talking about, or that writer wrote them, they all are in our mind as Iranians. When you live in Iran, you are a multi-folded person. I strongly believe that. You can't be just a social person or political person or person who just try to follow feminism or follow history or so on and so forth. You are a multi-folded person because living in Iran means that you need to think about so many things in the same time. So I think if you can find Shahrzad with all these matters and all these subjects in, I think this partly comes from Iranian mind. And of course, we had like 1 year time before the first episode shooting. So we had really great time to put all those instructions and all those directions into the script.
When you talk about the imperative that you have to be multifaceted people in Iran, let me ask about you being a multifaceted person, because it is curious to me. I just talked about Khunbazi. It wasn't that long ago. It was 15 years ago you made that film. It's curious to me because here you are, this intellectual, this academic who deals in intellectual discourse, deep issues, this profound playwright, and yet on the face of it, Shahrzad, it's really accessible. It's basically a populist love story. Tell me about that side of you that would gravitate toward this kind of material.
Oh, I love this question. Yeah, I feel nobody teaches me this, but I thought from my own experiences that as a female Iranian writer, I need to be multifaceted, as you rightly mentioned. Otherwise, I will lose everything in a minute. So, when you live in Iran as a woman and as a writer and as a person whose education is in theater, so you are in a very risky edge of your life and your experiences. So I think that I understood step by step that I really need to be multifaceted, because if I lost something, I can just grasp something else. And if I lost the other one, I can just jump into the other field. And that is why that I survived. That is the way that I survived in Iran as a female writer, female playwright.
But are you a romantic? Because it's hard for me to believe. I mean, maybe you're just really good at your job, but it's hard for me to believe you could write that series without being a romantic yourself.
I think I'm very romantic. Yeah, I am a very romantic person. Let me confess. Yeah, I still believe in love, and still believe in how people suffer from love and how they should suffer from love. And love is so precious for me. And if you mean from romantic, all those things, yes, I say that I admit that I'm a romantic person.
You know, Shahrzad there's another thing that comes to mind with this, which is that it was sanctioned by the Ministry of Culture in Iran. And while we have explored all the ways in which Iran remains culturally repressed, even depressed as a result of a heavy hand of the regime, we've talked about censorship a lot on Roqe. This spectacular series of yours was filmed and distributed in Iran. So at the same time, its very existence suggests that those who insist that contemporary Iran is only a cultural backwater plagued by censorship and where genuine artistic expression is incapable of emerging organically are wrong. How are we to make sense of the level of cultural freedom or creative emancipation that does exist in Iran?
Okay, so you never can follow Iran with one formula. It's not true about Iran that this is the country of censorship, so no creativity can happen there. There are many different eras that you can work, and you are faced with less censorship. For example, when we started to work on the project, the رسانه‌های خانگی, how can I?
There's no translation.
Netflix, we have Amazon, but we don't have these kinds of selling CDs episode by episode in grocery stores. You never see any episode of a new released series in a grocery store, right? Here.
No, actually, I was shocked when I heard that Shahrzad was distributed this way. I thought it was just on TV in Iran, but then a friend of mine told me that you had to go and buy it.
That was not part of TV. That was not part of TV show. Otherwise, we never ever could say so many things like this. This is what I'm going to tell you. Official governmental TV in Iran is very under the control of government, and is very under the control of censorship. And it's more than about 15 years and that I couldn't work there. I mean, so no, Shahzad was not released in TV as a weekly show, never ever. It was part of selling CDs week by week in grocery stores, in bookshops, and some other places like that, you know? So people were paying for that to get this week episode, and then the next week they came again to buy the next CD and watch the next episode. And this is how Shahzad spread it out all the communities, all the country, and it became so popular. Isn't it so weird?
It's really it would be unheard of, first of all, here for people to go but it's also very confusing as somebody who's in the diaspora to try and figure all of this out. You know, there's the stuff that's sanctioned that's on TV, then there's the stuff that wouldn't make it to the TV but isn't censored enough that you could not find it in the grocery store. Then there's the stuff you get on satellite that somehow they don't come and cut the satellite. I mean, it's really confusing what you're allowed to watch or see. But also it's because, as you have said, and as Bahman Farmanora said last month on this show, and others have said, it's sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. Some stuff gets censored, other stuff doesn't, and so you kind of just have to create the content and see what happens to a certain extent, I imagine.
Yes, exactly. So I know that how confusing is that for people in diaspora. I can totally understand that, but that is what it is. That is what it is. That is what you can find in Iran, that you never can, as I mentioned, you never can analyze what happened in Iran just with one formula. Okay, we all know that there are many censorships, but the levels are completely different. So the way that Shahrzad was produced, especially at that time, it was even freer than now. So we could write nearly whatever we wanted to write. I say nearly because we have so many self-censorships. Because for example, I grew up in Iran. I know red lines very well, but at the same time, I know that sometimes when I am writing, I have all those censorships in myself. So this kind of self-censorship just let us not to cross all the red lines in a way to prevent it to show our project. So the Shahzad grew up in freer atmosphere and compare with what happened in TV.
I hope you don't mind me asking you this, because I know, with Iranians, we always feel like talking money is not necessarily the thing that it doesn't feel elegant to ask you about money. But when you have a big hit series like this, I mean, it doesn't get bigger. Do you make a lot of money? I mean, if you co-wrote The Sopranos or Game of Thrones, you'd be, you are one of the wealthiest people in the creative class in the United States. So is that also true for a series like this?
Oh, no, not at all, unfortunately. The contract of writers in compare with actors is nothing, unfortunately. And I am not a kind of warrior to fight for that. So maybe I try hard to be part of the co-writers of next season of Game of Thrones, which never can be happened as far as I know. So no, that's not true, unfortunately.
Well, it's sure. I mean, it is something to. It's another interesting and difficult reality of arts and culture when it comes to Iran and the Iranian diaspora is that if you were writing in the position if you've co-written Seinfeld or co-written some as I say The Sopranos, first of all everybody knows your name and you get the winnings from that, you get the spoils of that. I didn't expect that the answer would be yes. I'm a billionaire now, but given the popularity and the reach of Shahrzad, I believe you should be. You should have been compensated for that. Let me ask you about
at all.
Some of the.
Okay, let me just
go ahead,
say something more, which is actually when I signed the agreement at the beginning of the project, I plus other people in the project, we really didn't expect such a popularity. So the first agreements were so low because it was like, okay, we are going to make a project, nobody will like it. So
Right.
so no top agreement and nothing like that. So it's just something.
But that's not
for
totally true.
us.
You must have had you knew you had a big enough budget to. I mean, it's a beautiful series, so you knew that there was a lot of people working on it. You guys had to have thought that it's going to do okay.
Not as much as what happened afterward. Really, not as much as that. Yeah. We thought that okay, a very small community of kind of educated intellectual people will like it because it's about history, and it's not about the recent time in Iran. So many people just kept telling us that okay, nobody will like it. Just as I told you, a very, very small community of intellectuals and educated people will like it, but not more. But what happened was completely different.
Let me ask you about some of the symbolism in Shahrzad. And I know you've talked a lot about and written about gender, and I want to ask you about gender and Shahrzad because let me try this on you. I don't know if this will resonate or feel right to you or not, but for me watching it, Bozorg Agha, the big man, he's the patriarch of this big kind of mafia family, you might say. And you can make the case that he is the proxy for old patriarchal Iranian society itself. And so if that's true, the interesting part of that to me is that in the story, while he would officially stand against almost everything that Shahrzad, the woman, is, an intellectual, a social critic, a doctor, a powerful, independent young woman, he also loves her, presumably her strength, and desperately wants her to be the person the next generation of the family stems from. How do we make sense of that disconnect with respect to Iranian patriarchy?
Okay, very good question. Actually, it's a very complicated how patriarchy in Iran works. I think the patriarchy in Iran is very different from what you see in, for example, Afghanistan or other neighbors of Iran. It's very, very different, and especially in big cities, it works differently from like small cities and towns and somewhere else. So I think patriarchy in Iran, in general words, hate strong women and at the same time love them. And the result of this contradiction is that they really want to have them, to possess strong intellectual women. So I tried to symbolize Bozorg Agha as you rightly mentioned, as this patriarchy in Iran. If I just showed Bozorg Agha as a person who hated Shahzad, it was not true. And if I just showed him as a person who loved Shahzad, again, it was not true. So I needed to find something in between to show how patriarchy deal with Iranian strong intellectual women, and that is exactly what happened in the series. And I think part of I think this is one of the powerful point of the series, that Bozorg Agha is a character, like patriarchy in Iran is a character. It's not a type, you know. And while it's so complicated, fighting with this is so difficult. If it was not multifaceted, I'm speaking about patriarchy, it was much easier to fight with this. But it is multifaceted. So I think Shahzad and Bozorg Agha just try to mirror what is in the very profound layers of our culture.
Yeah, and when you talk about the layers of the culture, there's no question, and certainly there'd be a lot of people who would only focus on how women do not have the rights, the respect, the legal standing, the ability to do what they want in Iran the way men do, or they should. And then at the same time, you've got, contrary to stereotype, in your own field, you have more women directors and working in cinema than most Western countries. So for people on the outside, that's not necessarily information that they would know or assume. And this is part of the confusion, part of the complexities that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, just let me add a very tiny note that there is a huge difference between the situation of women in Tehran with other big cities, and there are many differences in between women who live in big cities other than Tehran and women who live in villages. So we have to consider that very, very important note, and then think about all those things.
And tell us what the differences are.
Okay, so I mean, Tehran is, as you may experience. So let me ask you a question. How many years been you far from Tehran?
Never. I grew up. I was born in London. I visited once as a kid with my family. So I'm a complete diaspora kid. I'm born in London, grew up in England, Canada.
Oh, Oh my God! So your Farsi, your Persian is perfect. Congratulations.
That will be news to anyone who's listening to this show.
better than my
خیلی ممنون. Merci.
You're welcome. So if you've been in Tehran, you could see that Tehran is super modernized city. I remember that for the first time I went to New York, and when I came back to Seattle, all my friends just kept asking me that, how was your experience in New York? Did you feel any cultural shock? And I said, no, not at all. New York was just like Tehran. And I didn't feel anything unusual in New York. So let me tell you that how Tehran is progressed, modernized, crazy capital. And when I say modernized, it's not just because of the buildings, and it's not just because of the roads and highways and so on and so forth. It's just because of the culture. I met some women in Iran so open-minded and so modernized and so educated that I never ever met some people like them in United States. So this is the situation in Tehran. And then in big cities, still people are somehow under the umbrella of tradition. When I say tradition, it is partly tradition and it's partly religion and something, this mixture. And then when you go to small villages, I think women are very suffer from patriarchy. These days, you can find lots of news about how women are bullied and are killed in small cities. And as you may consider, all the victims are victimized in small cities and villages, which shows that still in those parts of Iran, women are very under the patriarchy, in a harsh patriarchy, I have to say. So this is the difference, in my opinion.
But Naghmeh, obviously I defer to you, but at the same time, the daughters of the revolution who are fighting the hijab, for example, they were in Tehran, or the inability to watch a soccer game alongside men, that was also recently overturned, but that was in Tehran. These things are not just in the villages, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, revolution is very paradoxical phenomena in terms of women movements in Iran. So many laws are against the women in Iran, especially after revolution, and at the same time, women who came into street, they didn't want to come back to home easily. So I think, in my opinion, that is one of the reasons that women are so active in Iran at this time. Doesn't matter they are from religious families or from kind of modernized, westernized families. They both are outside of home, and they both try to have social activism and social, works.
What about in your field, that statistic I mentioned a few moments ago, that Iran has a higher percentage of women directors than most Western countries? Why do you think that is?
I think, first, there are many women who really wants to do something in the society. And then I think women in Iran, especially educated, intellectual women, they have kind of very powerful inner voice. There are many things that they want to talk about. If, for example, they were living in a country like Sweden, they didn't feel that they really need to go out to say something or to express themselves. But I think in Iran, when you are a woman, when you are educated, when you are open-minded family, so you feel that you can hear your inner voice, and then you want to express that.
I mentioned the taboo subjects that you've dealt with in your work. You've also boldly challenged post-revolution gender stereotypes that are often held so dear by the authorities. You talked a few moments ago about not being able to have a series of yours get on TV for about 15 years or something. What is the price that you and your creative talents have had to pay for challenging the party line, if you will?
Okay, it's vary from people to people. I mean, my experience can't be generalized to others. Sometimes you are excluded from the mainstreams of the culture. Sometimes you are not invited to do something that you are very capable for that. Sometimes, I mean, that is the most difficult part. Sometimes suddenly you wake up and you open your Instagram and there are many, many things against you which you don't know where they come from. And then afterward, you can figure out that was kind of project to kill your creativity. Right. So there are many, many ways. And actually, I have to say that is very, very, sometimes the price is unbelievable. But that's your job, that is your goal, and you, step by step, you learn how to deal with them.
I mean, you've said that you want to keep the door open to going back to Iran and doing work in Iran. When you sit there in Seattle and the new company that you've formed and the work you're doing now, do you feel somehow more free? Like, wow, I can sit down and just write whatever I want somehow that is not going to be passing through the eyes of somebody who gets to decide whether this is going to be censored or not? Or does it just really feel the same?
If I say I feel the same, would it be very disappointing? I don't feel exactly the same, but I really don't feel something very different. I just finished a play 2 nights ago. I just put the last full stop and I just closed the file. But yesterday when I started to read the play, I felt that, okay, if I was in Iran, I would write the same thing. So this is my own question. I think it's a little bit soon to answer this question. Because, from one side, I think maybe it's because I used to use my self-censorship when I write. And from the other hand, maybe it's because that I am always writing about something that don't need to be censored a lot. So, yeah, I think I need more time to think about that. I am a little bit frightening that maybe this is because I am very absorbed by self-censorship. And it may be true. So I need time to be more clear with myself.
If you were to guess right now, where do you see yourself being in the next decade? Where's the journey of Naghmeh Samini going? Do you see yourself returning back to the career and life you've carved out in Tehran? Or is this new adventure in the West and in the United States something that you're going to continue?
Oh, do you let me to be a little bit more romantic and idealist?
I like both sides of you. All the contradictions.
So, okay, I would love to extend my company, my theater company here. It is called Seda, which means voice. Mm-hmm. And I put this name because I thought that as Iranian immigrants, we really need to be heard by other Iranians and by other diversities. So this is the first thing I'm thinking about. And second thing is that I hope I can translate my plays in English and publish them and make them staged. So this is the other hope and other thing that I'm thinking about and actually I'm trying about. And the third thing is that finding a way to enter to the writers community, I mean script writers community in United States to work here as a script writer as well. That is what I am imagining about in United States. And if you ask about Iran, actually, I have no more hopes in Iran that I never could get to it.
Well, we have a lot more, we expect a lot more from you. The more content, more plays. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time and really look forward to talking to you more in the future.
Thank you so much. And if your mom has more questions, please ask her, kindly email me.
I don't think you want to open up that Pandora's box, you know. There's a lot of questions she has about Shahrzad. Merci. Thank you for this.
Merci. خواهش میکنم. خیلی خوشحال شدم.
خدا
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
That is award-winning playwright, screenwriter, professor Naghmeh Samini. She joined us from Seattle, Washington today. Such an interesting conversation to have with Naghmeh Samini. If you have thoughts on that, of course, let us know on any of our platforms. They're at info@roqemedia.com. Kyan has walked back in. Hello, Kyan.
Hi, Jian. How's it going?
How about that? Hey, guys. Naghmeh Samini.
It's quite fantastic. It was awesome. I loved it. One note I wanted to mention, I realized that she was talking about Farhange Tikke Pare.
Tikke Pare, yeah.
Right. And I think you mentioned tall poppy syndrome, which is not untrue. We have that as well.
But that wasn't the right interpretation.
But that wasn't the right interpretation. I think the better interpretation would be a torn and patched culture, which, we do have.
Farhang the culture of the 40 pieces.
Well, that's not too bad either.
Right.
But yeah, a torn and patched culture, I think, is a better interpretation of that.
Right.
Jian, do you know what we call soccer ball?
Soccer ball.
Soccer ball?
Yeah.
After
Tupe football. No.
Oh, I see where he's going
we call
with this.
it Cheltike, Tupe Cheltike.
Oh, wait, does it have Cheltike?
No, but actually Chelsea.
So wait a minute, Chel, just to explain to non-Farsi speakers, Cheltike, Chel is 40 and Tike is pieces.
Yes.
So did you say Tupe Cheltike? Mm-hmm. So the ball of 40 pieces.
Yes.
Why
does
Oh, so we have a traditional leather, parche leather.
Parche is fabric?
Fabric. We have a traditional fabric that made with different with used clothes. They merge it together.
And they make soccer balls out of that?
No, they merge it together and make a fabric called Cheltike.
Okay.
And because the soccer ball is
I see where I see. Oh, I thought it was because it's 40 pieces. So
they
take pieces of fabrics and patch them together.
Right.
And they call it
Cheltike. And because the soccer ball
looks like there are different pieces patched together.
Oh, they don't actually make the soccer ball out of that fabric.
No.
All right. This is a very. How many Iranians does it take to explain what we call a soccer ball?
So
at least two.
And
at least
miserably.
Kyan, what have you learned today?
It's like a Farsi class for me every time I come here. Like last week with Shaya's comment on the kola cap, and this week with the
By the way, that's controversial. I know you're going to get to it in the mail. But the kola cap is not
went viral apparently.
Yeah, it's not. Some people disagree with you, Shaya. Well, we'll get to that in the letters. But Kyan, I have a question for you. What do you call a soccer ball in Farsi?
tupa football is how I would refer to it.
No, you just learned.
I disagree.
No,
I know. So tupa cheltike. I
there you
still
go.
don't really.
Exactly.
I've never heard that.
It doesn't matter.
Where did
But
you
you
grow
have to
up,
trust
Shaya?
you. They have
Which
to
village did you grow up in? I'm kidding.
you have to-
Moving on.
I see. This is the urban and rural divide that Naghmeh was referencing.
Yes.
Right. You're shaming him because
No,
he comes from a small village
I love Shaya. I
called
would
Tehran,
never.
I think is the
Capital village.
Shaya. So how sure are you about tupa cheltike? Because are we going to get a bunch of mail from people saying that that's not the word?
About kolakap, you mean?
No, I mean about
tupa
soccer
cheltike.
ball.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's I grown up with that culture. Let's go to play with Cheltike.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Aw.
Have you ever heard of that,
I
Reza?
think-
Yeah, I've
All
heard
right,
of that.
okay.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Well, if Captain Reza says yeah.
We'll just accept it.
Right. By the way, a lot of people, you know what I discovered this week? Because we did a little Instagram, not a contest, but a shout out to what platform are you listening to us on? Because people who, if you listen to Roqe on one platform, you think that that's the platform it's on. So it's like some people think, oh, this is a SoundCloud show, or it's on YouTube. It's just on YouTube. Well, what was the number one response on Instagram? I'm going to tell you. Kyan.
I'm looking at you like, am I supposed to know that?
No, the response. No,
Horror
as
in
the
my
person
eyes.
who checks our letters, apparently you don't check the Instagram, but that's okay because Sarah's doing it. It's Spotify.
Really?
Yeah, the platform that got the highest number of respondents was Spotify.
I
Yeah.
didn't know
Isn't that
that.
interesting?
I thought it'd be YouTube.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of people consume the content on YouTube, but Spotify. So anyway, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on SoundCloud, and it's on YouTube, and soon our website, which we will
TikTok.
launch. Which we will launch in 2027.
Yes.
That will be too soon. Our website is coming. I promise it's coming. All right. It's Thursday. It's towards the end of the show. You know what that is? It's time for Letters of the Week with Kyan. You know what's funny is every week I go, it's time for Letters of the Week with Kyan, and then the music is just
It's
kind of
just
like
so mellow.
wah, wah, wah. Yeah, it's.
I need a new.
You'd think there'd be like some
Right.
ba-da-ba, you know.
Shaya, can you work on that?
We need drum rolls.
I need like
We
a
need
theme
drum rolls.
song or something exciting. Letters of the week.
It's time for Letters of the Week.
Even I'm falling
Oh, okay.
asleep.
Or fake
All
claps.
right,
We
letters
need
of the
claps.
week.
All right, what do we have?
Okay, so last week on episode 17, we had the wonderful Iranian American comedy star Kyan on the show, joining us from Las Vegas.
Who you mentioned is very handsome.
He is.
You
yeah.
said that at least
I think
4 times.
It's because he's so hilarious. I think funny guys really get to me. Yeah.
okay.
Anyway, he spoke about his unique upbringing as a half Iranian, half American, and how he got into the comedy business. As well, on that same show, we had the globally acclaimed classical pianist Leila Ramazan on the
Yes.
show, joining us from Lausanne, Switzerland. So
People loved Leila Ramazan.
Yeah.
And she's got
She
such a
was-
lovely
she was
personality.
really
As
lovely.
well as being incredibly talented.
for
yeah.
sure.
That was an interesting duo, I thought. Putting
Yeah.
Leila Ramazan and Kyan together. I thought it was very interesting.
Yes. You're complimenting yourself as a member of the Roqe team who made the decision.
A
So good.
comedian
Yeah,
and
that's
a
good.
classical pianist.
Yeah.
Continue,
All right.
Kyan.
What do you got, Kyan?
So first, we got an email from an Atifeh Tabish. I should know how to pronounce her name. I do know her. She's from Halifax.
You know her?
I grew up in
Pers-
Halifax for a part of my life.
Wait a minute.
Jesus
You were-
Christ.
how every week you grew
I-
up from
My
somewhere
God.
else?
Listen, we got bored.
Two
we
weeks
moved
ago-
around.
2 weeks ago it was Dubai.
Okay, I'll simplify it. Born in Des Moines, Iowa. Age 2, we moved to Kuwait for my dad's work. Age 10, we came to Toronto to live here. My dad saw some kids smoking weed or something, and he's like, I don't want to raise my kids here. It reminded him of New York. So anyway, so then we went to Halifax because his friend was there, and he loved it. So we grew up in Halifax, and then I ended up moving back to Toronto later on. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also, there's this it's almost a joke to think that every Iranian outside of Iranian knows each other.
Yeah.
But
We do.
this keeps happening. Where I mean, Atifeh
Atifeh Tabish, yeah.
Tabish, we got before you even started doing letters, we had heard from her. So she's not listening to the show because of you.
No,
You
no.
discovered that but you actually know her.
I do, yeah, and she was
Fascinating.
delightfully surprised too to hear me, and she actually reached out and
Oh.
said, nice to hear your voice.
So, where will you be from next week? Some other.
Stay tuned. Maybe Ghana, maybe Switzerland. I don't know. Whatever fits the mood.
I think the correct pronunciation of her last name, I think it would be Tabesh.
Tabesh.
Oh, there
Thank you,
it is.
Shaya.
And
What would I do without you,
And
honestly?
she grew up with
Yeah.
I'm on a first name basis.
It's a new low when you can't pronounce the friends you've known. I love you, Kyan. You know
Anyway,
that.
actually, funny enough, my mom used to be a Farsi teacher, and she taught her
Oh,
kids.
don't make it worse. You're just digging yourself.
Anyway, let's get to what she said. So she said, I met Kayvon a few years ago at a Nowruz function in Halifax. He's one of the funniest comedians ever. My kids who were born here could relate with him and actually enjoyed an Iranian function for the first time. That's huge. I know the feeling. She goes on and says, and thank you for introducing Layla to me and all your audience. She is a jewel of Persian art and music. Her peaceful voice and magical fingers is all the world needs. Kudos to all.
Nice.
That was nice. It was a nice message.
Atafe
Tabesh.
Tabesh.
Atafe. Get it right. So next we have a Sherry Geram Michosh from on YouTube. She wrote, "So glad you're back. Wishing you nothing but the best and looking forward to your future endeavors." That's a nice
Thank
note.
you. Future endeavors. The show is
So
my future
official.
endeavor.
The endeavor.
She's like,
It's happening.
is that the last time she's listening to
It's
Roqe?
like office talk. Good luck with your future
I wish
endeavors.
you. That was great. Now, good luck with
Move
your.
on.
This is like maybe it's like the Iranian thing. Good luck when you get a real job.
Dude is on the side.
Okay. Thank you,
So,
Sherry. That was lovely.
Yeah. So next, I don't think this is a name. It's a YouTube username. It's FG Kuri on YouTube. Wrote, have you thought about making Roqe Media merchandise? Huh.
Oh, yeah.
We've discussed
Sure.
that,
Yeah. The B Roqe T-shirts that I'm going to be rolling
I think
out.
that'd be cool.
Roqe Hola cap. For
Hola cap.
people who
That's
rate
the first
Hola
purchase.
Roqe Tupe Chel
Tike.
Yeah.
Mug.
The Roqe soccer balls. Yeah. No, for sure we got to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
I think the slogan should be B Roqe.
Yeah.
Roqe.
Like caps with B Roqe on.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. In
Oh,
Farsi
I
and
just
English.
got that. It took me way longer than it should have. Like
Oh,
B
dear Lord.
Roqe.
Yeah, B
I
Roqe.
thought you meant like the letter B in Roqe, and I was like, what?
yeah.
Nobody's name starts with a B. Anyway.
Dear
Okay.
Lord, Kyan. Continue.
I haven't had coffee, okay? So, as well, we had Hamid on, like, SH is the last name.
Right.
I think he's written to us before. On YouTube wrote, Jian, back in your previous show, Q, you interviewed English folks whom I mostly did not know of. I automatically associated this lack of common knowledge to the fact that I spent my childhood in Iran. Now, on Roqe, you again continue to bring the most interesting guests, but yet again, I'm in the same situation. Perhaps this comes with becoming a member of a diaspora. You have a gift of bringing people together, people of different nations, and creating a sense of community. Thank you. That was a really nice
Oh, that's
note.
really nice.
Yeah.
If I thought, who does Hamid know? Because he didn't know the English guests or the Farsi guests. That's very nice, though. He
That
turned
is
it around
nice
there
of
at the end of that. Thank you, Hamid.
Yeah. Jill Hendry on YouTube wrote, what a perfect way to end the week. Thank you.
Who was that?
Jill Hendry.
Jill
Hendry.
Hendry.
Yeah,
Just
you
getting
can
you to go a
pronounce
little
that, right?
slower so we can hear the names.
Next, we have Aya Trezefar. I'm butchering that name, I'm
Okay.
sure. Trezefar. She said,
Hold on. Aya, how was the last name again?
Trezefar.
Shaya?
Even Shaya
I would
doesn't
say it's Ayat Rezaifer, but I don't know.
know.
There we go.
You know what?
Oh,
It
what-
was conjoined together in the
I see.
username, so maybe I made a mistake there. خب Ayat Rezaifer said, Kola cap is as wrong as saying non-bread. Ooh, Shaya, what do you got to say to that?
you know,
Yeah.
like bread is non, and so I mean in the Indian name for it, but noon, so noon bread or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So kola cap, it's this.
So to explain to those viewers that weren't or people
Listeners,
tuning in.
right.
Kola cap. We were wondering what baseball cap is in Farsi, and Shaya suggested that it's kola cap, which we were all pretty shocked about.
No, we were excited because we thought Shaya was teaching us something.
Yeah.
And now we realize
Okay.
he's teaching us incorrect things that we're going to run around and tell our Persian
Hello,
friends and
cat.
get laughed at.
Okay,
What's your defense?
probably in my neighborhood,
In the same.
nobody
what was
knows
it,
what's
Chilti cap?
baseball, so we call it kola cap. But
See,
We'll
this is
just
why
go
I'm
with
wondering about tupe cheltike.
No, I've heard that too, and I'm from.
Okay,
and
you
I'm
have
not from Tehran. I'm from south of Iran. I'm from
All right,
Shiraz,
we'll accept
so I've
that.
heard tupe cheltike.
Kola
Alright,
cap
don't
is
worry
still
about it.
controversial.
But had
We're
you
not-
heard kola cap?
No, never
No,
heard kola
alright.
cap. That's from his neighborhood.
But does this person say what it is called?
No,
Oh.
she or he did not. She just
Okay.
said kola cap is as wrong as saying non-bread.
All right.
have you heard about shalwar bagi?
Yeah, that
that
I
one
can
I've heard.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Baggy pants.
Baggy
Yes, I understand.
That makes sense.
Khob. Then we have Cyrus Kalatbari on YouTube.
Khalat Badi.
Khalat bari.
It's spelled Kalatbari. I don't know.
It's okay.
Okay.
You guys
But it's
are just
Khalat bari.
killing me over here. Khob, he said, another amazing episode with beautiful Iranian talents. Thank you for showing all of us, especially the younger generation, about the very rich Persian culture, music, art, and much more. I encourage my sons Mateen, age 18, and Arteen, age 14, to listen and learn about our very rich farhang. By the way, the
Culture.
yeah,
Yeah.
that means culture. By the way, the side talks with your team are getting exciting and funny. Keep it up. As I said before, I'm becoming addicted to Roqe.
That's great.
The side talks are getting interesting.
Getting
Yeah.
Interesting. Hasn't-
Yeah, Nichi
they
Budan.
haven't
Where
been
did
so
they
far.
start? Yeah.
That's right.
They were not good, but
Such cool names his children have.
Mat-
Arteen, Mateen.
Mateen.
Yeah,
Like it.
Persians do that. They do the rhymed
Yeah,
names
they definitely
and
got a
names
rhyme.
with the same letter start. Like for me, it's Kyan Docht. I don't know if
No
you guys
way.
know. Kyan,
Oh.
Yeah, Kehosa, Kyan Docht, and Qmars.
So your name is Kyan Dokht and you can pronounce
Listen.
Khalat Bari? Jesus Christ, Kyan Dokht.
My parents really wanted to ruin my life. Born in Iowa, they're like, let's name her Kyan
What was your name
Docht.
when you were in Vancouver growing up?
Halifax, you mean?
Just Dokht.
I just get. It seems to be a new place every week. That's all I'm
I
saying.
always went with
She's
Kyan.
an
That's-
enigma.
She
We're
is.
just
You'll never know.
I think she's making it up.
episodically.
I think she's making it
My
up.
whole
That's amazing.
story is
She
just
was
a
in
big phony
Dubai,
story.
Halifax.
Kuwait.
Kuwait, actually, but anyway.
Was it Kuwait?
It was Kuwait,
Oh, we
yeah,
thought it was.
yeah.
You said Dubai
No,
as well.
I said Kuwait.
Yeah,
Oh,
same
Kuwait.
thing, really. It doesn't make a difference.
It's not the same thing. These are jokes.
Next
I
We
know.
don't think those are the
I'm
same
offending
thing.
so many people every time I come on this show. Khob, let's move on from there. As well, this week on episode 18, we had the rapper, producer, and record label owner Irfan on the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that interview.
Already one of our most listened to
sure.
episodes in
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah. So we had him joining from Los Angeles. If for those people tuning in that don't know him, he's a pioneer of Persian hip hop and spoke very rookly, quote unquote, about his experience of entering a completely new space in Iranian music and the challenges of facing critics on the way up. So, like I said before, this has been one of my favorite shows on Roqe so far. And judging by the letters this week, I think many people agree. So, yeah.
You were saying, you were telling me that when you heard the interview, he was different from what you expected Irfan was going to be.
There's this stereotype of rappers in general. You expect them to be these tough guys and kind of like nonchalant in the way they speak. He was so humble and down to earth. And when he was talking about his upbringing of growing up and just getting drowned in Persian poetry because he was kind of in between Iran and America, and a lot of people misunderstood him, I guess, because he had an identity crisis at the time, and his escape was Iranian poetry, which I thought was beautiful. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
To hear, I don't know, he sounded really wonderful. Yeah.
So what did people say?
We had Parnia Alipour on YouTube wrote, I've been following Irfan for years, but he's never had an interview like this before. Thanks, good job.
Oh,
I
that's really
agree.
nice to hear.
It's one of the first times I've heard him speak like that. As well, Marlene Khoury on YouTube wrote, Iranian rapper equals modern day Rumi. The world needs more rappers like him, speaking the truth.
Wow.
That was powerful. Yeah,
Nice.
modern
That's
day
high
Rumi.
praise.
And it's true. He
Nice.
really was. Ali Zakir on YouTube wrote, "This was a beautiful interview, Jian Jan and Roqe team. Khaste nabashid. Really, life happens in the gray area, as Erfan said. Ye chizi beinishe. Good luck and keep up the good work."
Nice. Thank you, Ali Zakir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
it's something
lyrics
in
from his
between.
song, right?
It's not like
Name of one of his songs.
Yeah, beautiful song. Green Rain, username Green Rain on YouTube wrote, "I would love an interview with Shaya as your guest." Wow.
I've suggested that before.
I
But
agree.
Shia gets interviewed every episode.
That's right.
I ask him, how'd you get to the studio today? Can
And
you
he's
play me a
educating us,
song?
too.
Did you
Sharing
did,
his
did you
knowledge.
know
What do I call
Bowie?
baseball cap? Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
did-
You know what's interesting when what Kyan said just about now.
You can stick to
Kian
Kyan.
Dochter.
Kyan
Yeah.
just said about Roqe
Yes.
speaking. You know what I was just saying? It just occurred to me that there are a lot of quite a few non-English phrases in the English language that found its place.
Yeah,
Like
what?
for instance, touche is a French word, right? But we use it all the time,
Sure.
and it's
That's
almost
true.
become. I wonder if, like, years down the road, people would use the word rook.
Speaking very rookly.
Yeah, in speak like in their daily conversation.
think-
That would be
We
interesting.
should
You
make
know
that
what?
a thing. Let's start.
Actually,
I believe years from now, at least 3 people will be,
and they're all
and maybe
in this
Kian
room.
as well. So that's 4.
Actually, my roommates they use rock.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
While
they-
speaking
There you go,
English, they
already
say.
No,
spread it.
they're
being
Canadian, but they say,
Wow.
okay, let me say rock. You have to do blah blah.
Oh,
That's
blah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Rook.
B Rook.
Be rook.
B-E Rook.
B Rook. Yes,
yeah.
I got that.
All
Thank
right,
you,
well, I'm just
Jian.
making sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tupe, Chel.
Take care. خب, then we have Melika Sohanaki. I'm pronouncing that right. Nobody give me shit
Well,
for that. Sohanaki.
You say the name and then you look
I
at all
look
of us.
around like, who's gonna make fun of me?
Just say it however you want. It's
Melika
okay.
Sohanaki.
Okay.
On YouTube wrote, well
Khalat
done.
Badi.
So Hanaki.
Sohanaki.
No, actually, it's a common thing. You know, when it's a, when you see a, first try to say it not
there we
that's
go.
a good tip. Thank you, Shaya. That's very helpful. Next, we have Kimya Mirpur. On
Wait,
YouTube.
what did the person say?
She said, well done.
Oh.
We spent more time discussing her name than the comment.
Spent 2 minutes waiting for this person's letter.
Well done.
Well done. All right.
That's all you get.
Well, thank you.
Last show.
Well, next we have Kimya Mirpur. She wrote, good job with the, that little, you get it, that emoji with the well done.
It says
finger.
A-OK.
Yeah,
Nice.
right.
Very. Thank you, Kimia.
Then we have Jale, last name SN, on Facebook, wrote, keep up the great work. Every episode has been wonderful. It's a nice message.
That's nice. Thank you, Jale.
And lo and behold, we have the letter of the week. Wow.
Seems like we would never get here.
Still,
We made it.
I feel like we need a theme song to this.
We made it to the letter of
It's
the
like
week.
I announce it and then it's like womp womp. Khub. We have Mohammad Hajivandi writing to us from Prince George, BC. He emailed us. He wrote, as a Canadian American Iranian, I could own many of your guests' journals. I may be a couple of shows behind, but like watching a series, I can't skip an episode. International actresses, mixed Iranian comics, iterations of the Shahnameh, censorship, and social scientists back to back. What a feat. A Smithers BC RCMP officer told me about Roqe. I never cried as much as anything in my life than while listening to Hamid's grief. And for those people tuning in, that was the first episode with Hamid, who lost his family on the tragic Ukrainian flight crash. So he goes on and says, I was hooked with high expectations, and you've been surpassing yourself every episode while getting humbler. You managed the show like a teacher with the crew while encompassing your Iranian roots by being the most gracious host. That was a really deserving.
What is that?
That was Mohammad Hajivandi writing from Prince George.
Mohammad
BC.
Hajivandi.
Wow. I rarely ever say that. Well deserved.
That
Letter
was
of the
that was a
week.
really
That's a beautiful letter. And also, I love from Prince George, British Columbia. For those of you who are not listening in Canada or don't know, that's right in the middle of British Columbia. It's not where Vancouver is, or it's kind of up. It's if you were looking at BC, it'd be right in the middle. a place that you should visit, Shaya. Yeah.
Write that down.
Your Shaya's brothers in BC.
Really?
So yeah,
I didn't know that.
they can
Taha, right?
Yes.
take a trip up to. You guys, thank you so much. You've done great work with the letters, and I appreciate it as ever. Captain Reza, Groovy Shaya, Kyan Docht.
Merci.
Kyan Docht, to all of our team, the incredible Roqe team, Sarah and Susan, and everybody's working so hard on this. Thank you to all of you who are listening, and to those of you who are supporting and telling other people about this. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks to Irfan this week for the great shout out that he gave our show after the interview aired on Instagram. Really appreciate that, Mr. Irfan. We are going to go